Okay, friends, so for first time this week, we are focusing a lot on the changing weather and being outdoors, and especially on our outdoor friends who help us so much. For example, we have Mr. Worm, and we have Miss Spider, and we have other insects. We're focusing this week on insects and on bugs. So, do you know what an insect is? An insect has 6 legs, 2 antennae, and 3 body parts usually. The head, abdomen, and thorax. And if you want to practice, you can sing head, shoulders, knees, and toes, but instead you can do head, thorax, abdomen, head, thorax, abdomen, and then it's, I think it's eyes, 6 legs, and 2 antennae is the song. But anyway, and then a spider is specifically an arachnid. An arachnid is similar, however, they typically do not have antennae. They have 2 body parts, and they have 8 legs. Our first story we're going to read is called An Earthworm's Life. And it is written and illustrated by John Himmelman. So let's dive in. An earthworm spends most of its life hidden beneath our feet. In spring, an adult earthworm leaves its egg case in an underground burrow. 2 months later, a baby earthworm hatches from its egg. It crawls out of the egg case. The young earthworm tunnels through soil, and at night, it feeds on dead leaves. Sometimes the earthworm eats soil or dirt. The soil goes through the earthworm's body. It comes out as a pile of round balls called castings. By fall, the earthworm is nearly full grown. It pulls dead plants into its burrow. The earthworm eats the plants until winter. Then it is time to sleep. Spring rains bring the earthworm back to the surface. When a hungry mole comes near, the earthworm sneaks away. The earthworm begins to look for a mate. It finds one outside a nearby burrow. Soon, part of the earthworm's body bulges with eggs. A ring full of eggs come loose. The earthworm slips out of it. The rings become an egg case. The earthworm leaves it behind. When the earthworm comes above ground, a robin grabs it. The robin struggles to pull the earthworm out of its tunnel. But the earthworm is strong. The robin gives up. One summer night, heavy rain falls from the sky. By morning, the earthworm's burrow is filled with water. It searches for a drier place to live, but it gets stranded on a basketball court. Can you see the basketball? We find worms all over our track when it rains. A young boy picks up the earthworm. He puts it in the garden. Just like us, we save our worms as well. The earthworm spends the rest of the summer tunneling among roots and eating soil. When cold weather returns, the earthworm sleeps underground. And in the spring, the earthworm begins a new journey. The end. So we are just coming up on the season of fall. That means our earthworms are starting to collect leaves that are dead that they can take underground into their burrow and eat. Some of the words we learned from this book are burrow, which is an underground tunnel, castings, which is the piles of soil and plants that have passed through an earthworm, egg case, which is a protective covering for eggs. We saw a mole, which is a small mammal that lives underground and eats plants, insects, and earthworms. We saw a robin, which is a songbird that eats earthworms and insects. We saw roots, which are the part of a plant that takes in the water and nutrients from the soil. Most of the plants, the roots of most plants grow underground. So they're down here and then the plant comes up. Soil, the upper layer of earth that contains broken down rocks and rotting plants. That's the dirt on top. So an earthworm has its own category, which is different from an insect, since earthworms have no legs at all. And all earthworms are both boys and girls. All earthworms can lay eggs. Earthworms are incredibly important. They make sure our soil is healthy, and we need healthy soil for plants to grow. And without plants, we don't have anything to eat. Animals don't have anything to eat. Plants help us clean our air. Plants are really important. In the spring, we're going to talk a lot about pollinators, but for now, we are thanking the worm for its help in healthy soil and healthy plants. Can you say thank you, worm? Make sure when it's raining on days like this and you're outside and you see a worm that you help save it from the sidewalk and you bring it back to the dirt. Can't wait to talk about our next book. Bye, friends.